coming from a tax background, tax people get a little bit of a bad rap for being maybe kind of antisocial sometimes or having trouble talking to people. Like you listen to what someone says and you're just kind of running the numbers or thinking logically about the situation. But you have to really connect with people emotionally and show that you care about them. And you guys have helped me tremendously with that. With SCA's help, my revenue jump, I got it as far as I can just with the people I have now. From 2024, before joining STA, I think I was at about 850, 900K a year. This year, in other words, at the end of 2024, we were about 1.2. So that's obviously a pretty sizable jump in of itself. But I would say the biggest thing is, you guys really convinced like, hey, you need to hire more and do more delegating to get to the next level. We literally this morning just hired our first closer.
RC, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here, Aaron. Thank you.
Of course, man. So as we talked about, I think, the way I want to go about this conversation is number one, just learn a little bit more about you and kind of like how you got into the space and, building your business. And then, obviously we can go from there. So take us back, how did you get started in the whole, tax and, the asset management space?
Yeah, for sure. So I have an educational background in tax and accounting. And so when I graduated from my master's in taxation program, I kind of decided I didn't want to go the normal public accounting route like most people with that kind of background will do. Decided I wanted to try to be an entrepreneur. And so I got out there in 2012, struggled for quite a while, and then I just started to learn more about my specific niche that I'm in right now, which is called tax resolution. And what that is that's really specifically helping people who have fallen behind with their taxes. So they haven't filed their taxes in a while. Maybe they haven't paid their taxes in a while. Usually, honestly, both of those things. And they just need some help to keep the IRS off of their back and kind of get a path forward. And I learned about that industry and it really fascinated me because it's a part of tax where you can really help people and make a big difference as opposed to maybe some other things in tax, which are just like spreadsheets and financial statements. So I got into that, but I also really at the same time got into learning about high ticket offers and online marketing and online sales. So I'd always kind of like been really interested in the online side of it. And I worked very hard to combine those two areas of expertise. So, our business is run 100% online, remotely, you could say. We have clients from all over the country, from Hawaii to the East Coast, and it's a great way to do it because you can help a lot of people, and you can kind of do it on your own terms as well, without having to do like what a lot of traditional accountants do, like having an office or a storefront or having people coming to bother you. So that's how I got started. I just had a passion to help people. I had a tax background educationally, and I kind of learned about this opportunity and just went all in. And that's what brings us to where we are today.
Let's go. That's super
Yeah.
exciting just to kind of hear, even I guess it's like 10, 12 years since you started. But
Oh, yeah.
even being able to see like the progression of how far you come. So one question, because understanding that like the majority of people that'll watch this will be like other people that are businesses or maybe even tax
Yeah,
professionals as well.
for
What
sure.
was the like maybe like switch or what made you think like, oh, let's not do this like kind of old school way and look more to like the online marketing? Because I think even in 2025 a lot of people are like maybe even AI now is scaring them. They're like, I just don't want to
Yeah.
touch this like online marketing stuff. Like what like shift happened for you to really like embrace that side of things?
So I think it's a couple things. Number one, I was always interested in the online way of doing things. I had learned about that even before I started this business. There were a lot of old school guys like the early 2010s, who were just starting to teach this way of doing business. Excuse me. And I was fascinated by it and I really liked it. But I also think part of it was just seeing the limitations of the traditional model. I've been around accounting firms, tax people my entire life. I know a ton of people who own businesses in this field. And the old model of, again, having an office, having all this overhead, you can't travel anywhere, you can't do anything, you can't hire people easily because, you can only hire people that'll drive 20 minutes to your office, right? And if they're not going to come otherwise, it's not a good model. And I realized, hey, if I want to live the life I want to live, traveling, living where I want to live, being able to hire employees from anywhere in the world, it's got to be a little bit of a more online approach. And I just kind of recognized that earlier on. And so I went all in on doing it that way.
Is there any like pieces of advice or things you would say to someone that might be listening to this where they just need to like make that step? Like what should be the first thing that they do? Like, okay, here's step one to like open my mindset to be a little bit more like RC.
Be careful what you wish for if that's your goal to be more like me. But in respect to that specifically, I think you just have to know it's very possible. Like there are so many people out there, customers and potential clients that have no problem interacting with you online. There's some layer of people that won't, obviously, but they're in the minority nowadays. There are people are ultimately looking for solutions to their problems. And I'd especially say this to tax people. They're looking for a solution. They don't care where your office is. They don't care about any of that. If you can present your value in a way, you could be living in Hawaii, just, on the beach, closing deals and helping people out. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It just takes learning that skill of how to run your business that way and rewiring your beliefs. And if you just jump in and you stick to it, you will get results.
Anything that you can point to that kind of sticks out that's like, this was a hurdle that I struggled with in from 2012 to now, like any main struggles that you can maybe forecast for someone else as they're growing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I would say one of the toughest things, at least for me, like coming from a tax background, tax people get a little bit of a bad rap for being maybe kind of antisocial sometimes or having trouble talking to people. I definitely am a card carrying member of that. Like that's my natural personality. I'm very introverted. So obviously, if you're dealing with people over the phone, sight unseen, you have to increase your communication skills and be able to convince those people to buy from you. That's probably what was hardest for me. But I know, Aaron, you guys that have helped me tremendously with that. And that's really helped me increase my confidence and my ability to close deals over the phone. But I think that's one of the toughest things is just being able to be on the phone with someone and how do you transfer a stranger to a client in as short of a period of time?
hmm No, I mean, and this might sound like a little bit of a cliche, but a lot of times, like I'll talk to people on these, and even kind of surprising with you, like you saying like, oh, I'm introverted. Like I would have never guessed that, but I'm assuming like, I
Yeah.
mean, your job is talking to people, so like you
Yep.
just do it every single day, and obviously like the cliche is like the more you do something, you get better at it. So,
100%.
um, so. So you mentioned one thing in there, which I think is a pretty good transition of like, us helping you out. So I guess I'm just curious, like, how did you find STA in the first place? Like, it was an ad, like
That's
what came up?
that's a really good question. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I'm sure I saw one of your
Most
guys'
don't.
ads. Yeah, no, I liked it. I think I knew about Cole, the head of STA. I knew about him through somewhere, and then I think I just started seeing all of his ads a long time ago, and I was really impressed with them. But I didn't pull the trigger immediately. But I was on your email list, and I actually like for months, if not longer, I would get these emails, and I realized I was reading all of them, and I'm like, dude, this guy Cole's really smart. And finally, I just realized, hey, I want to talk with these guys because I think they have some information or perspective that'll really help project my business to the next level. And then I just talked with you guys, and I've been a client of yours ever since.
Let's go. And
Yeah.
when you first came in, I guess, because we kind of talked about it, what were like some of the first things that like, whether it was shifts or things that you implemented that you saw like, oh, like this was worth it. Like I'm glad I made
Yeah.
the decision.
Yeah, I got a lot of really good answers to this one. So I think one of the things that really separated you guys from because I've done other coaching programs before, as we all have, and I think the number one thing that really separated you all is sort of like the perspective of people who are more successful. So like even my account manager, John, like you, like the events I've gone to, you guys have dealt with a lot of really successful people. So you have that vision of what that high level of success is like. And if you're in a coaching group where your revenue numbers are like the same as everyone else's, there's no one there that's like, hey, this is how you get to the next level because we're all in the same boat. But when I got, joined with you and I worked with John and the other went to your events, I was just blown away by the caliber and the quality of the people and the advice that you all have given me come from the perspective of someone whose business is much larger than mine. So you can show me as easily as possible, like how to get to that next step and look at my business and know where the holes are and the leaks better than I could ever do on my own. And I just feel like when I talk with John, like I'm just constantly having conversations like that. I'm like, John, dude, I'm stuck. And John's like, it's exactly this problem. And I'm like, dude, you're right. And then I just do whatever he tells me to do and things get better. So it's like that. I know it's like a nebulous answer. Like it's more conceptual, I guess, what I'm telling you. But I think that's the biggest one is you guys have a lot of really great perspective. And I think it comes from just having worked with really high caliber business owners. And so you can help, your clients just really grow very quickly.
One thing you mentioned earlier too, even on that note, was like the sales part of it and how John's kind of like helped in the sales aspect. What are maybe some things that you could even give to some maybe another tax person or business that's listening to this that's like, hey, like here's some sales nuggets for you that I've
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah, the biggest one that I learned from John is to be very empathetic in your communication. So I think a lot of us tax people were very logical, numerical, right? And so you listen to what someone says and you're just kind of running the numbers or thinking logically about the situation. But you have to really connect with people emotionally and show that you care about them in order for them to feel comfortable to want to do business with you. And as silly as that may sound, but maybe it sounds familiar to other tax people watching this. That was hard for me to understand. And I learned how to increase my communication skills to convey not just that I had a powerful solution for my clients, but also that I truly cared about them, which of course, I did care, but I wanted them to know that I cared. And I was able to change with John's help my communication so that they understood that I cared and I wanted to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, because my background isn't really in sale. Like I've been doing it for like, last 6 or 7 years, but even before that, I think a lot of people have this like misconception, and maybe you did as well. I know most people do, is like this misconception of sales being like a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah,
a lot of it just comes from like the preconceived like experiences that you might have had of like the example I give is the used car salesman, right? It's like
for sure.
it's just seen as a negative thing. So I think a lot of people have that resistance. But like you
Yeah,
said, when you understand, you do it in a way where it's like it's there to help the person versus just like take advantage of them. And even back to what you said about your
absolutely.
offer, it's like like you're probably really convicted in the sales that you're doing because you know that you can help this person out of their tax problems, right? Something that they've probably been dealing with for a long time, and it's like you
Absolutely.
have that direct solution, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, a couple other things that you mentioned too is the offer specifically. So,
Mhm.
I guess, what was your offer before? Like, what were you helping people do, and then what was like the switch that we kind of helped in refining that?
Yeah, I would say that my offer has been consistent since the beginning of the business, but I would say John helped me think about how to pitch it better and describe it to the client. So rather than just kind of being like, hey, I can help you fix your tax problem, how do you really articulate the value and the results the client's going to get, both numerically from a dollars and cents point of view with the IRS, but emotionally, how do you articulate that in a better way? So our offer has been consistent just because I started the business doing this, but my ability to convey that to people and like have them connect in their mind, like, okay, that's why I should pay RC's companies because they're going to do this and this and this, and that's going to make my life better. That's what you guys really, and I mean, really helped me do.
Yeah, I think you even mentioned it earlier too, is just the nature of being a like dealing with money and numbers. It's a lot of times I'm sure tax people will like be on these calls, right? Sales calls, and it's like they just talk so much about the numbers when the person on the other end,
Yeah,
they're talking to you because they don't understand the numbers. So like a lot of times
exactly.
it's not going to translate into them understanding, but like you said, when you can connect with them on an emotional level and understand that, it obviously helps a ton.
I'm
So
100%.
we're recording this at the beginning of so January 17th, and
Hmm.
right now is really big for tax professionals, right? Like it's tax
Yeah,
season and all that kind of stuff. And I was even asking you before this, like, what would you say to someone that is in that grind right now, but like also
yeah.
help them understand like this is probably maybe not the best time, but like this is one of the best times to jump into it to kind of get ahead of things. So what would you say to someone
Yeah.
that be like, hey, like you need to do this now versus 6 months from now?
Yeah, for sure. That's an excellent question. And I would just say, Aaron, I know I'm very familiar with like the normal accountant business of having, 1,000 tax returns you have to prepare on a 4-month period. I have so many, colleagues and friends in the tax world who own tax businesses who tell me just how horrible that is. And I would just tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. In our business, we don't do any of that. We just work with a select few number of clients at a higher price point and provide really awesome results. So we don't have like a tax season or anything like that. We're busy the entire year. And I would say you need to use, if you're an accountant or a tax guy watching this right now and you're just like feeling overwhelmed with all those 1040s you're doing or partnership returns or corporate returns, you just need to use that as energy to make a decision now to change your life and lay the foundations now. So even if you feel swamped, use that as motivation to change the trajectory of your business so you can make more money and work less and just be happier and enjoy what you're doing, maybe more than you're doing right now.
Yeah, doing it more efficiently, right? And then going
Yeah.
after some of those the smaller deals. And it's the same thing in every industry, right? It's like,
Yeah.
we could work with, someone that's like just getting started, but we understand that like there's a lot more kind of like, nothing against those types of people, but it's just like it is
Yeah.
a lot more work to get from like, them from 0 to 1 than, from 1 to 10, right? It sounds very similar
Absolutely.
to what you're doing. So, I think a piece that a lot of people are always wondering about on these calls is like, okay, cool. This RC guy, he worked with STA. What was the money, right? What was the revenue? So give me kind of an idea of like before revenue, after revenue, and then we kind of already talked about this, but it might not have been like the biggest revenue jump per se, but there was some other things in there.
Yeah.
So kind of talk to me before, after.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I could be a slow learner sometimes. And so here's what my change has been from 2024 before joining STA. I think I was at about 850, 900K a year. This year, in other words, at the end of 2024, we were about 1.2. So that's obviously a pretty sizable jump in of itself. But I would say the biggest thing that, John has really been helping me with the last part of this year, because I've been more receptive to it and my own thinking has really grown as an entrepreneur, is delegating out and hiring out more of the tasks in our business. Like John has really helped me see that and he's helped me implement it. So for example, we literally this morning just hired our first closer. So I would say that, yeah, I know I'm pumped and you guys did a great job with that too. We got like an amazing guy who's going to be starting. So I would say like, with SCA's help, my revenue jump, I got it as far as I can just with the team the people I have now. And you guys really convinced like, hey, you need to hire more and do more delegating to get to the next level. So I really think 2025 is going to really blow up because I'm offloading so much stuff from my shoulders. So yeah, you guys helped me with the mindset change and you helped me increase my revenue, but more importantly, like to figure out how to do stuff. So rather than just like an incremental change in 2025, you can just like really go to the next level.
So with that said, so because and I agree with that. I think it's a huge thing that a lot of people don't. And the reason I asked the question in that way was, it's not always about like, oh, it's like you started here and it's like this massive, incredible jump in terms of
Yeah.
revenue, but there's so many other things, like you said, it's like, it's more efficient. You're able to delegate. You're getting some more of your
Oh,
time
for
back.
sure.
Like that's, and a lot of times, like, time is as they say, right, the most valuable asset that you have. Um,
Absolutely.
so first of all, also like, congrats on getting the new
Oh,
closer. I
thank
think
you.
that'll
Thank you.
that'll help you a ton.
Yeah.
I want to touch on that piece because obviously that's a huge part of what we do as well, and what people know us for. So like, what was your experience overall, when it comes to the recruiting side, and more specifically, like, what was like what was the steps? So like, what was like the interview like? I
Yeah.
think I forgot who exactly was the
Elizabeth
yeah,
was our
Elizabeth.
recruiting account manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she got you connected. So just talk about the
Yep.
experience overall.
Yeah, the thing I liked about it the most was it was all white glove and turnkey. So I've never hired a closer before. I had no idea what to do. And Elizabeth, our recruiting account manager, was just, like, here's exactly what to do. Do this, do that. I'll get you the candidates. When you interview them, here's the questions to ask. Here's how to decide who you're going to hire or not. And once you hire them, here's exactly what you need to do to get them ongoing and ready to go. So literally, it was just like I just showed up, and you guys are like, here's the candidates. Here's what you need to do with them. Here's exactly how that process goes. And the candidates were all very high quality. I mean, the people that I was talking to, it was hard to choose because they were all so good. I'm like, this is kind of tough. I wish I could hire like all these guys. But I mean, it was just easy, right? And it was like just super simple. And any questions I had, John and Elizabeth, they were on it. They gave me feedback. They helped me choose who to hire. So, I mean, I think especially if you've never hired a closer before, it makes a lot of sense, work with you guys. I mean, even in general, maybe if you've hired 100 closer, work with you guys. But if you've never hired one, especially work with you guys because that really just cut out the nonsense and just got us the result really, really fast.
Let's go. Do that. This is
Yeah.
why I love doing these interviews because, the majority of my time is spent on content and videos and ads and the marketing
Yeah.
stuff. But just like connecting, one on one with people that are seeing success, like it gets me hyped up, and I'm like, all right, I need to go make like
Oh, yeah.
100 more videos to bring more people in
I,
because it
I
changes
love it.
lives. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, all that being said, I'm really excited for you because it feels like there's a lot of things that are coming together, right? It's like you have the closer on to get you off the phones, things are becoming more efficient. Like I just want to say I'm stoked for you. I think it's gonna be fun.
Um, and I
Any
appreciate it, man. I appreciate everything you guys have done to help me. I'm not just saying that, like, in all honesty, you guys have really helped me a lot, and I'm very grateful for your help.
Cool, man. Of course. I mean, I'll say it on behalf of everyone here. You're welcome. So, any last things that come to mind? Well, actually, let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick outro for the episode, and I want you to think
Yeah,
about in like 30 seconds. Think about like one golden nugget or tip that you would give to like another tax person that's listening to this.
yeah,
So
for
I'll do
sure.
the outro super quickly. So for those of you that are listening, whether you're, a business owner or tax, professional advisor, whatever it may be, obviously you're listening to this point and you're like, okay, how do I like work with these guys? How do I get a closer? How do I, optimize my business? How do I not work with, some of the clients that you said the 1040s, right? How do I not work with the,
Yep.
more 1040s if that's not what you want to do? Down below this video, there'll be a really quick video that walks through, it's my business partner, Cole, really walking through how we could help you. Now, overall, like we don't look at things as like a high pressure sales environment. We just want to ultimately help you and even give you the action plan to be able to do it yourself if you wanted to. But down below, really quick video, schedule a call with our team, and again, we'll have that conversation to see if we can actually help you. So click the first link down in the description, also in the show notes as well. So RC, what you got for the golden tip for the beautiful people?
The golden tip for all of you beautiful people out there, and especially for you tax people watching this, is you have to surround yourself with people who have been very successful to get to the next level. You have to go out and seek people who have gotten really solid results because if you can learn from them, you can implement those as fast as possible. And what I think about the hardest times in my business, especially for a few years when I was getting started, it was the time I thought I could just figure it out on my own, or I was taking advice from other tax business owners who had similar problems that I did. But when I changed my mind and I'm like, I need to seek out the highest quality help, I'm willing to make a financial and time investment to do that. That's when, and I was willing to do it even if I was afraid or nervous. That's when things really started to change for me really quickly. So don't be afraid. You got to put all that off to the side, even if you're uncomfortable, and just make a leap. If this is what you guys want from your business, this is the approach you need to take, and you need to find the best people to help you do it.
Amazing. All right, man. Well, we'll end it on that one. I think just beautiful words to
Awesome.
end it out for anyone listening. So again, last time for those of you that are still watching here to the end, go ahead and click the link down below. Check out the quick video, schedule a call with our team, and we'll see you over there. This has been the Scaling Less Stupid podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out. Leave a comment if you what you thought of the episode, like the video. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk soon. Peace.